Development Bank of Nigeria (DBN) disburses 512 billion naira loans in 5 years to MSMEs. Afrexim Bank Trade Payment Services (AFPay) launched. Oil could decline further as supply risks return to fall. This is Business Express on the network service of the NTA, and we are reaching you from Abuja, the nation's capital. I am Benny Adams, your guide. Good to have you join us at this time, and we'll start by telling you that the National Bureau of Statistics says it is deploying technology to enable easy and safer collection of data, as well as working on a new security and crime survey to provide government with important information and evidence that could and can assist in tackling insecurity. The Statistician General of the Federation, Adeyemi Adeniran, said this at the annual conference of the National Statistical Association in Kefi, Nasarawa State.
The data ecosystem is changing, and these statisticians have reconvened at this conference to discuss on ways to improve data production. The conference is particular about the challenge of security affecting enumerators from carrying out their jobs and how they can help in solving the problem.
The contribution of statistics in a new and rapidly changing environment has become very important, as reliable statistics are essential for measuring progress in reaching developmental goals and providing essential information.
This is particularly important given the changing nature of data ecosystem across the world and in Nigeria, which is driven mainly by technology, and the increased demand for data from various users as citizens become much more aware and interested in the development and governance of the country.
The primary goal of the conference is to aggregate possible permanent solutions to a myriad of pending issues affecting security of life and property of Nigerians.
The conference is expected to come up with recommendations that will be used to improve statistical analysis in Nigeria. In Abuja, I'm Musa Abubakar, NTA News.
Director Development Finance Department of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Dr. Yusuf Yila, says 9.3 trillion naira has been invested in various development finance interventions, out of which 3.7 trillion naira has been repaid, while about 5 trillion are long-tenured to the manufacturing sector. Speaking in Abuja, Yila said the best performing intervention was the Commercial Agricultural Credit Scheme, and 400 billion naira have been recovered from farmers out of the 1 trillion naira disbursed.
Every single person who's taking that loan, smallholder farmer, is going to pay. We have his BVN. We are going to be, in fact, we started what you call the Global Standing Instruction, the GSI. We will continue to pull the accounts in the banks that they lend through, or whichever bank that they have accounts. And anytime we see any funds, we'll recover that. We've also started recovering loans from state governments. We have been doing a loan worker program from them, and we're debiting their FAC directly, for the loans. So if a state government has taken 1 billion and it's already in default, over a 6-month period, we're going to be debiting them 150 million every month. So we started that program. So every single loan that has been given out through any of our intervention programs must be paid back.
The Food and Agriculture Organization of United States, United Nations, has recommended Nigeria's rice production initiative. The Assistant Director General of the UN agency, Abebe Hali Gabriel, said Nigeria did a fantastic job in rice production through the support given to smallholder farmers. Consequently, he announced that the Food and Agriculture Organization will partner with Nigeria to support the efforts of the government.
Agriculture needs to be modernized because without modernization of agriculture, we cannot increase productivity. If we cannot increase productivity, the product cannot be competitive. So yes, FAO is fully committed to modernization of agriculture and is ready to support the efforts of our member countries, including Nigeria, to move along that trajectory.
The Nigerian mining sector is known for its enormous and abundant mineral resources spread across every part of the country and has the potential to make the nation the next best investment destination of the world, transform the economy, develop infrastructure, and grow the gross domestic product, that is the GDP of the country. What strategic policy is needed to further boost the economy? To discuss these issues is the chairman ECOWAS Federation of Chambers of Mines, Sani Shehu. You're welcome to Business Express.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Well, let's start from investment in this sector. From 2016 to 2022, the federal government made a whole lot of investments to ensure that the dividends, the potential of mining is not just felt by Nigerians, but also reflecting on the GDP. How is that going? Would you say such an enormous investment, the impact is being felt?
Yeah, the impact is slightly felt.
Okay.
This is because the investment made has not been enough, though we give kudos because such investment has never been made before. For instance, it is during this time that the government give an intervention of 30 billion to the sector. Though, as I said, it's too small, but since it is the first of its kind, we appreciate it. And like the Olibatos, we ask for more. The investment comes in form of policy, as you said. There are tax relief given to the investors. There are 100% ownership, also allow for foreign investment, and then they can, of course, take up their profit and their investment at will. So all these things are capable of attracting investment, especially in Nigeria. However, this effort seems to have been punctuated by the unfortunate security development.
Okay. Before we come to how security is impacting negatively on particularly the activities of this industry, you mentioned 30 billion was given by government as intervention. Which areas did this intervention go? I'm actually asking this question because I know for sure the mining sector in Nigeria as it is today is dominated by small-scale miners, whom we call artisanal miners. I know time before now, government made efforts to ensure that they get to put them into some cooperatives to get them well organized and to get them to move from the crude way of mining to some mechanized form of mining. But it seems we're not seeing that yet. So I want to know, where did this 30 billion naira go into?
Well, I wish it is the government people that are here to answer your question. However, being a stakeholder in the industry, I know that there is data generation by the Nigerian Geological Survey Agency, and I believe it is from that intervention. The Mining Karasa office has also been decentralized. They now have zonal offices, and of course there are other supportive instruments like they bought some vehicles, And they upgraded some of their offices and so on, computerized their offices, get server for online registration and so on.
Okay, talking about registration for particularly, though you're not a government person, but we're talking about the mining cadastral office, where they issue licenses, and if you're a miner, whether local or international, you need to renew these licenses. There's been this complaint where miners get this license from takeoff, and you don't see them come back to renew their licenses. Government is losing a lot of money in that light.
Yes.
Some of them, the addresses they give during registration, the mining cadastral office cannot locate these places. They move from one location to another. How can this challenge be mitigated as well as to ensure that revenue that is supposed to be for government is not missing somehow?
Yes, you see, I was the President Miners Association of Nigeria for 9 years.
Oh, okay.
And of course, I'm still part and parcel of the association. What we are doing, not on individual basis, at the association level, is to sensitize our miners on the obligation. It's not about getting license. After I get license, there are series of obligations that one has to, actually observe. One, you have to submit a quarterly report on the activities of your site. At the end of the year, you also have to pay annual dues. These are obligations that will-be miner need to be aware of before even venturing into mining. Where you just thought that getting license is enough to qualify you as a miner, then there was going to be a problem because you might not be able to observe this obligation, and at the end of it, the license will be revoked. And during the period of non-payment, of course, we are driving government from its revenue. So we are sensitizing our people on the need to get it right. Before you even take a decision to become a miner, you should be familiar with the obligation so that you live up to it.
Okay, there is also this allegation of illegal miners whom are not just indigenous to Nigeria. You have foreigners found in some locations in Nigeria, in mining sites. The government will tell you, we don't have these on our register. They are not registered. Some will tell you, these people are backed by some powerful traditional rulers. Some say politicians, some say highly placed in society. How true is that? And what should be done to ensure that whoever comes to mine has got this license and is also giving government its due in terms of revenue?
Yeah, I think what you have said, there are good elements of truth, on what you have said. You see, illegality without, can I say, prosecution is always attractive. When people decide to break law, if there is no sanction, then it will continue. There is a ministry that is in charge of this. I'm happy these days they have a task force that involve all the security agencies. You'll agree with me that even last 2 weeks there is a calm down on the illegal miners in Kwara and other parts of the country. The issue is the country is large. The mines field is also very big and large.
With a lot of resources.
Yes. So what needs to be done as part of answer to your second question is this. The ministry in charge of solid mineral need to be properly empowered. They need to be properly funded to be able to have enough vehicle to collaborate more with the security agencies and to clamp down on these illegal miners so that it will cease to be attractive. And I think there is a need to have some scapegoats, get some of them arrested, publicize it, so that will be like a deterrent to those who feel they can do it. And it's not only in Nigeria. All over Africa, this has been a big, a challenge. So there is need for government to actually support the ministry and then strengthen the task force that is in place now, so that the menace can be reduced. But it's unfortunate that even foreigners are coming here to do illegal mining. It's very sad. Ghana has taken a decisive action. Most of the illegal miners, especially the foreigners, been flushed out of Ghana. And of course, some have seen a safer haven in Nigeria, and they are coming. So I am appealing to government to make more investment in the area of dealing with the illegal operation.
Yeah, you have been the president of the Miners Association in Nigeria for 9 years.
Yeah.
You have now moved from Nigeria to ECOWAS. We're talking about West Africa, the ECOWAS region in general.
Yeah.
I made mention of Ghana. In Nigeria, and particularly the continent at large, what do you think governments of the regions can do to ensure that they bring artisanal mining into mainstream mining, to ensure that they are part of the process and they are doing what they should do?
Yeah. You see, usually wherever you see illegal mining operation, that belongs to a licensed miner somewhere. So there is an African Mining Vision. Is a book that defines what Africa is supposed to be in future. Formulation of similar policy, because we have similar circumstances. So this book talks much about illegal operation, artisanal, operation, and so on. Now, what needs to be done is train these illegal or artisanal miners into cooperative, which is okay. Nigeria is really trying. But apart from being grouped into cooperative, what next? They need to be monitored. Their development need to be monitored and supported, because they are like children of somebody. Your children need to be taken to school, need to be trained until when they became adult, their responsibility on them now reduces. The same thing, this artisanal operation need to be supported to a level where they can be formed into cluster of this artisanal. First formed into cooperative, which is ongoing. The cooperative should be monitored. The growth of this cooperative should be monitored.
And capacity, and financing should also be provided. And then
transform them into cluster. Cluster is always bigger than the cooperatives. Then from cluster to small scale. Small scale
to large scale, possibly, or medium.
To large scale.
It's a process.
It is a process.
Well, we look forward to this process happening as you recommend now. You agree with me that insecurity has affected mining, particularly in Nigeria and in areas like Zamfara State and other West African countries.
Yeah.
What is the impact of this to mining? And again, going forward, we all hope that the security situation is improving and possibly we'll get over it. And what will be the prospect afterwards for the mining industry?
The impact is actually devastating. I've said it in this studio that apart from those who lost their life, I think the next set of victims of this insecurity is miners, because we are operating in the same environment. We are in the hinterland, we are in the bush, so we are the immediate victim. We lost our sight. You pay every year, but you cannot walk. And then some of our workers lost their life. So there is no operation for some years now. We are jobless. So as to what will be done, I think is to improve the security operation. Like in Nigeria, you'll agree with me that the last 3 months has been good. They are human beings like you and me. They are afraid of death. So once they see aircraft being controlled, you see them running helter-skelter. So that should be intensified. So,
but with that being done, there is hope that the miners will soon resume to site and business will continue as usual.
There is because new minerals are being discovered. The relevance of mineral in the international, scientific and business world has also been discovered.
Yeah, there's more enlightenment in that light. And the business opportunities are reopening.
That has less value now had a lot of value.
Wow.
So there's going to be a boom after this insecurity challenge.
Thank you so very much, Chairman ECOWAS Federation of Chambers of Mines, Alhaji Sani Shehu. Thank you so very much for sharing your thoughts with us at this particular point in time.
Thank you for this invitation.
Good to have you.
Thank you.
Moving on, African Export-Import Bank, Afrexim Bank, has announced the commercial launch of Afrexim Bank Trade Payment Services, also known as AFPay, an intervention designed to facilitate the settlement of international trade on open account terms on behalf of identified African financial institutions and their clients. Afrexim Bank developed the product specifically to address the banking challenges confronting African economies due to the withdrawal of many international banks from the continent, exits attributable to stringent regulatory and compliance requirements as well as cost. AFPay has been in the pilot phase for over a year now and currently facilitates over $500 million in monthly payments across member states. And the Development Bank of Nigeria, DBN, has successfully disbursed more than 512 billion naira in loans to no less than 225,000 micro, small, and medium-scale enterprises in Nigeria since its establishment 5 years ago. This is revealed at the bank's third annual lecture series with the theme MSMEs Thriving in the Face of Domestic and Global Disruption, held in celebration of its 5th year anniversary in Abuja. The availability of the loans also enabled the creation of more than 150,000 jobs in the economy. Shehu Yaya, chairman of DBN, said MSMEs occupy a critical part of the Nigerian economy and contribute 48% to Nigeria's GDP, adding that the country could be transformed from a consuming to a producing nation through the activities of the subsector. And the Secretary General, Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC, Haitham Al-Ghayas, says the signing of the Algiers Accord 6 years ago has led to stability in the oil markets, which is being experienced today. This is as OPEC marks the 6th anniversary of the adoption of the landmark Algiers Accord in September 2016 in Algiers, Algeria. 6 years ago, the OPEC conference at its 170th extraordinary meeting decided to establish a high-level committee to develop a framework for consultations between OPEC and non-OPEC producing countries. These pivotal decisions eventually led to the signing of the Vienna Agreement at the 171st meeting of OPEC Conference on 30th November 2016 and a historic declaration of cooperation between OPEC and non-OPEC participating countries on 10 December of the same year in Vienna, Austria. In reflecting on the anniversary, Haitham Al-Ghayas, OPEC Secretary General, says the signing of the Algiers Accord has led to declaration of cooperation, which has in turn contributed immensely to stability in the oil market. Earlier this month, the organization marked the 62nd anniversary since its founding in 1960 in Baghdad, Iraq, by the 5 founder members: Iran, Iraq, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, and Venezuela. OPEC is currently made up of 13 member countries. Now, let's take a trip to the commodities market. Neka Oko now joins us for updates on the global market.
Hello and welcome to the Global Market Review. European markets advanced this Friday, gaining some respite from a hot week as the third quarter drew to a close. The DAX added 0.72%, with UK FTSE topping 0.56% and the French CAC gained 0.78%. US stock futures also rose as traders tried to rebound from sharp selling this week, which brought the S&P 500 to a new 2022 low. Futures tied to the S&P 500 were up 0.68%. The Dow Jones Industrial Average also topped 0.54%, and Nasdaq 100 was up by 0.64%. Stocks in Asia Pacific retreated on Friday following the overnight plunge in the US. In Japan, the Nikkei 225 slipped 1.83% to 25,937.21. The Shanghai Composite also depreciated by 0.55%, while the Hong Kong Hang Seng Index was up by 0.63%. African markets, on their part, wrapped up the week in mixed territory, with Namibia's overall index rising 0.81% to lead gains in the region, followed by South Africa's JSE Africa Top 40 and Morocco's Free Float Index, while the other stocks declined. And that's Global Market Review. I am Neka Oku.
And that wraps Business Express for this week. Join us again next week for a fresh edition. And I will say happy independence in advance.